Hello everyone, welcome back to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm AP Calculus, and today I'll be reading the second half of Chapter 2 of Going Back to My Past, I Wish I Never Came Home. Hope you guys enjoy this, and let's get right into it. There was no way to get to the car that would take them to the border of Yokohama. A person already waiting at the front of the building, smoking a cigarette. He has grey hair like an old man, but he couldn't have been older than 45 based on the wrinkles on his face. Chia just hopes he doesn't get grey hair that fast. All it took was for the sometimes smart-ass idiot to clear his throat, and the man was on his knee in front of the three of them. "DAZAI-kun, I've gotten the car as requested." His tone was level, with no trace of fear in his voice. Somehow knowing the prick seemed to feed off her others' fear. "Very well, Hirotsu-san." Dazai replies with the same tone Hirotsu did. "At least I know the dude's name now." "Bring us to the car now." Dazai continues as Chuya takes a few seconds to look around the bustling nightlife in the heart of Yokohama. Even at this late hour, it still shocks him how the world can look so bright in the dead of night after living in Suibachi City for so long. Chuya sees the man in front of them nod before standing up and stepping ahead of them. The prick looks behind at Chuya, only to give him a cheeky smile for a split second, before turning back around, his expression back to the cold ways of the demon prodigy. The world seemed to have slowed down for that short moment, that bright, cheeky smile becoming so welcoming to Chuya for some reason. It really shouldn't be, he knows that. It only lets him know of the incoming headache. But the way the light reaches his eye for just a moment makes Chuya want to protect him. "Get a fucking grip of yourself," Chuya whispers to himself as he shakes off his light blush. "He is just a stupid idiot. He has no right making you feel this way." He continues in his head, talking to himself in the second person, as hollow footsteps seemingly echo in his ears, letting him know it's time to get going. He walks, being prompted by a light tap on his shoulder from behind him, coming from Annie-san. The four of them make their way to an alley a couple of streets away. The bustling, lively nightlife of Yokohama quickly turning into dirty, drug-filled back alleys. There was a car waiting for them on the road at the other end of the dirty alley, a sleek, black Mercedes-Benz. Chuya didn't take note of what class the car was in. All he knew was that it was far more expensive than anything he could ever dream of affording. The car door opened smoothly by Hirotsu-san, and Chuya could tell this was a higher-end mission just by the car alone. Dazai steps into the car first, his cold exterior still showing, and Chuya can't help but let out a sigh softly. "You're really coming with me to the border?" he asks, exasperated as he follows his work partner into the car. It's silent for a few moments as Annie-san gets into the passenger seat in the front of the car, the doors closing with a satisfying click. Chuya sighs as he leans back into the seat, his head resting on the comfortable padding of their headrests, as Hirotsu-san opens the car door and gets in before starting the car. It came to life with a soft rumble that was comforting to Chuya's ears. He lets his eyes shut for a moment, letting the car calm him for his mission as it takes off. Chuya felt eyes boring into his skull as he rested for a short moment, and he knew that it had to be that stupid prick. "What you need, asshole?" he prompted lightly as he opened one of his eyes to look over to Dazai. It seems that it was the only prompting he needed, as that stupidly bright smile came to his face again. "Nuttin', Chuya," he teases lightly as he leans back against the window. Chuya notes that for all the guy talks about suicide, he actually has his seatbelt on. It takes another few moments for Dazai to make a noise, the sound that comes out of him being a soft laugh. "Oh, Chibi, you're too easy to cheese." DAZAI says with affection that Chuya didn't want to deal with today, so he closes his open eye and tries to tune the prick out. Chibi! DAZAI sings out as Chuya ignores him, and it's now that he notices that DAZAI isn't playing his stupid demon prodigy role as he did with everyone else in the Port Mafia, meaning that he trusted Hirotsu enough that he didn't need to have his guard up. Chuya groans at the prick, letting him know without words that he was listening as he opens his eyes to have a look at the man driving. Something about his grey hair seemed familiar to Chuya, but he wasn't sure where he had seen it before. He squints his eyes as he leans forward and stares into the rearview mirror, trying to get a closer look at him. He has a monocle on, Chuya notes, but it seems to be the most interesting part of him appearance-wise. Chuya gets snapped back into reality by a weight hanging on his arm, pulling it down roughly. Chibi, you didn't even listen to me, did you? The idiot whines as he tugs on Chuya's arm again, successfully getting him to look at DAZAI. A deep sigh comes out of Chuya's mouth as he leans back against the headrest of his seat and shakes his head lightly. He knew there was no point in saying that he was listening when he wasn't. He was an honest man like that. DAZAI sighs just as deeply in return as he takes the weight off of Chuya's arm and goes limp against the window again. Chuya's so mean, he states with a huffy pout, turning his head to the side to look out the window. I guess Chuya doesn't care if he dies then, the prick says with another softer huff this time, as he looks at Chuya from the corner of his non-bandaged eye. Another sigh comes out of Chuya as he turns his head to fully look at the other teen. What do you mean, idiot? Of course I don't want to die. I'm not some suicidal maniac like you. Chuya turns to the front of the car out of the windscreen as he speaks, not wanting to look at the idiot more than he has to. More whines come out of DAZAI, something about a seatbelt and how Chuya isn't wearing one. He rolls his eyes, assuming DAZAI wants him to put on his seatbelt, even if he could just use his ability to stop the car from getting into a crash. That's a good doggy, the asshole says as Chuya clips on the seatbelt. Taking such commands makes him such a good boy. Came more praises, and Chuya hates that it made him feel a bit warm inside. He wasn't used to being praised, and even if it was by DAZAI of all people, he would take it, begrudgingly that is. Chuya turns his head to the side, away from DAZAI, as the stupid boy keeps cooing at him being a good boy. The thought of that alone makes Chuya shiver slightly, and he knows the asshole could see it by how his voice gets even higher than normal. And he leans close enough to Chuya that he can feel the bandaged idiot's hot breath on his ear. Chuya! DAZAI calls out, his whine obnoxiously loud, being right next to his ear. Chuya groans yet again, not wanting to deal with this boy any more than he had to, and who knows, maybe getting away from the idiot for a while will get him to be nicer to him. Yeah, as if. Chuya huffs in his own head. Chuya keeps his head turned around for another minute or so, hoping DAZAI would just run out of patience. It works, if only for a moment, before the prick is ever so lightly grabbing his chin and turning his face around with such care Chuya could swear it was someone else. My dear Chibi, please look at me. I'm gonna miss you. The worst person on the planet says, soft enough to make Chuya's heart skip a beat. Not that he would ever admit it, but he could feel his cheeks slightly heating up from the asshole's stupidly kind, annoying words. Chuya quickly whips his head around and out of DAZAI's grip, and surprisingly, he doesn't force Chuya to keep looking at him. It's almost as if he actually cares. The thought is soft in his mind. A weak excuse, even to himself, as he sees the tall wall that closes Yokohama off from the rest of the world. DAZAI-kun, Nakahara-kun, we have arrived, came the cooling voice that belongs to Hirotsu, and Chuya couldn't help but relax slightly. He could hear DAZAI whine from beside him, but he moved away from Chuya, his warm, fishy breath finally out of his face. "But Hirotsu-san," the idiot whines loudly, like he always does when things don't go his way. "I want to see Chuya looking pretty for longer." His whine continues, and Chuya couldn't help but want to get away from him as fast as possible. It seems like Hirotsu-san is also feeling the same, based on the way he simply shakes his head before turning off the car and opening the door. It was silent at Yokohama's border, only a lonely Port Mafia member outside guarding it. Of course, the shithead sees that as the perfect chance to keep his voice as loud as possible as the two of them step out the car. "Chuya, make sure to come home safe from the war. I'll be sure to look after our children the whole time." Chuya officially wants to kill DAZAI, even if that means making a stupid suicidal dream come true. He turns around sharply to see the arsehole standing with his hands in front of him, like he was stopping his skirt from flying away in the wind, a soft smile on his face and leaning forward like he did before when Koya worked on the arsehole flirting with him before they left the building. "Shut the fuck up, arsehole, we're not married." Chuya makes sure to reply even louder than Dazai had, making everyone around him, other than the prick, wince slightly. Dazai only seems to chuckle lightly, like the small child he still was, and smiles warmly at him. "So we do have kids, honey?" Dazai says as he leans forward a little more, as if he has the assets to pull that off, just to make Chuya angrier. The floor cracks around Chuya, the biggest warning sign he could give to the dense idiot before he snapped at him. Dazai simply smiles and quickly skips over. Yes, the idiot skips towards Chuya, before he places his hand on his shoulder and turns him away. "Good dogs don't bark," Dazai says softly into Chuya's right ear, and he couldn't help but shiver, giving a low growl. Chuya was about at his limit when Dazai pressed a feather-like kiss to his right cheek, and handed him a book that he didn't even notice the prick give to him. His world seemingly turned on its head as he was slightly guided towards another black car and pressed into the back seat. The last thing Chuya remembers of that night is another feather-like kiss to his forehead and being hugged lightly, and having a warm knitted blanket draped over him. Bonus! Osamu chuckles slightly as he sees the mess of a chibi curl into the blanket as he placed on him and promptly passes out. He holds his face for a few more moments before kissing him properly, knowing that the chibi would hate him even more, before stepping away from the car and closing the door. "I'll see you soon, my darling." His voice was soft, even in his own ears, but he didn't hate it. Plus, it's not like the Port Mafia would believe a singular guy who claims he kissed his enemy right in front of him. Not when he was a demon prodigy, anyway. He heads back to the car, a soft smile on his face as he, for once, feels happy. The shocked look on the two adults' faces was enough to let him know that it was just another thing to add to his growing complexity, even if only 3 people ever knew about it. Okay, wow, that was actually shorter than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, I love this fic. It's amazing. It's my own fic, so I'm kind of biased. But anyway, if you guys want to read the next chapter, I posted it this afternoon or this morning. This afternoon, let's just say, on my Air 3. The link to the fic will be in the description, and chapter 3 is officially out now. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.